Most people you know aren't dumb, they just think in outdated ways. We live in the smartest era in history, but also the most distracted area in human history. This video isn't about IQ, it's about building systems and having leverage. If you apply just a few things from this video, you'll outthink 99% of your competition. Most people stay mentally average because they consume a ton of content, but they don't take anything out of it. The average person consumes around 6-7 hours of content daily, and basically none of it is useful. They scroll, and obviously it's for entertainment and enjoyment. I totally understand that, but at the same time, you have to learn from the stuff you're seeing. If you're spending 6 or 7 hours every single day, take that information and use it to help yourself. Information is everywhere, but wisdom is extremely rare. You don't become smarter by knowing more. You become smarter by filtering the bad stuff versus the good stuff. So you need to make sure your filter has good, positive things coming into it and not negative things that you don't need. Again, it's not hard to be smart. It's really not. If you're able to learn, be willing to struggle, and be the best person you can be and improve every single day, you're going to become the smartest person in the room. So the first principle I want to talk about that many smart people use is they break problems down to what's absolutely true and they rebuild from there. So you have to be very truthful with yourself. If there's a problem, fix it, but you can't be lying to yourself. If you're not working hard enough, for example, you got to be truthful. You got to tell yourself you got to work harder. That's just an example. And another thing that I want to talk about, a second principle, is think about the long-term consequences of your current decision you're making. Because let's say you're doing something and you're running a business, and let's say you're 4 people, and you got to think instead of the right now moment, because you're like, oh, I have less payroll, I don't have to pay people as much. That's the now. People aren't chasing current success, they're chasing future success. So again, you can't have shiny object syndrome. Basically what that is you start one thing, you do something else, then you do something else. You keep kind of doing different things over and over. You have to stick to one thing and build systems and have people who are wanting to do the exact same thing and who are wanting to build it with you from the ground up. You guys need to be more organized with your time. So for example, set a calendar event, have events that are scheduled on a group thing. And the reason I'm saying this is because having organization is everything. So giving your people direction and yourself direction is so important, because if you're just sitting down all day and just kind of wasting time and doing one thing and then going to the next thing, it's not doing anything. So the smart people are the ones who are extremely organized, and that's with time and with ideas and management and other things. They are extremely smart and diligent with what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So another thing too is not only are they smart with systems and ideas, but they have ideas of what they're thinking. So for example, many of these people write down goals, they have thoughts. The smartest people are the ones who are giving themselves feedback often and are writing things that are working for them and also things that are not working. So every single day you're learning. And again, take that information you use and use it to improve yourself. If you want to be better than 99% of people, you have to learn from every single thing you're doing every single day. And this is another interesting thing that I haven't really talked about much on the channel, but your mind is literally an algorithm, and what you take in your body is what is gonna happen, right? So if you're eating healthy, you're gonna probably be healthier, meaning you're gonna have more energy and you're gonna be happier and you're gonna be wanting to work more. So whatever you take in is whatever comes out. So garbage in, garbage out, right? That's a saying that many people have heard, and this is kind of similar to who you follow equals who you become, right? So if something is not working, let's say there's someone in your life who you don't need, or you're not taking care of your health, fix that, because that is extremely important for success, right? So if you want to beat people, not only do you have to be around the right people, you have to eat healthy, you have to be around healthy people who are go-getters. If you do those simple things, you're going to beat a good majority of people. And then really from there, it's basically execution. Can you execute your idea? So again, I mentioned this in tons of videos. Unfollow everything that doesn't push you forward. So if you do that, you're going to be very smart, and you're going to get smarter because you're going to be away from people who are not smart. It's pretty simple. So smart people consume stuff like creators, and they always ask, how can I put this in my content or my business or in myself? And that's very important. And something I do and that I've learned from mentors is something called setting a 3-to-1 ratio. And what this is spending 3 times more using knowledge than acquiring it, meaning actually taking stuff out of it versus just acquiring it. And look, if you want to watch a movie or whatever, great, like who cares? But you need to, instead of scrolling on TikTok and stuff, let's try to learn. And even if it's a viral video of someone dancing, see what they're doing, and whatever it may be, whether it's a viral sound, there's always a reason why it's working for them. So take that, and instead of just watching it and scrolling, be like, why do they go viral? How can I go viral? That's a mindset shift that's going to really make you get to the top. And most people are, from the school system, and that's okay because there are benefits of going to school. But I think public education is basically a scam, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of stuff wrong with it. But obviously, if you become a doctor or a lawyer and you need to go through that route, look, you have to go through that route. It's okay. But I believe a lot of the education that people are teaching kids is incorrect and not accurate. Absolutely. So school rewards memory. And basically, right when you're taking a test, hey, do you know all the vocabulary? Do you know the content? And you get rewarded for it. But the real world rewards thinking. School rewards memory. The real world rewards thinking. And I'll talk about an example of this, right? So on a test, if you study your content and you have good knowledge of the course, you're going to pass. But the real world doesn't really care if you have memory. They care on execution. That's all they care about, is can you execute this idea? Right? So there's 2 different things. School rewards you for being wrong. In the real world, honestly, like, you learn from being wrong, but eventually you can fix it. For school, you take a test, you fail, that's it. So the system never really taught us how to think, but only what to think. So for example, whether it's politics, school, economics, everything that public school teaches you is from the government. And private school is slightly different, but again, it's very similar in the sense that they want to teach you certain things and other things they don't want to teach you. And that's because the system we're in, and that's okay. But this is why I'm mentioning this, because the 1% aren't in this little pyramid scheme system. They're out of that system. It's pretty obvious, right? Most people are going through the college route and they're doing that, which is great. Go for it. But you're not going to learn what the 1% knows if everyone's going through that route. If everyone's going through that college route, everyone's going to learn the exact same thing. So what's going to separate you? Learning life skills. So the smartest people I know, like I know a lot of these people, some have degrees, some don't. But the one common thing between the two is they both have discipline. So it doesn't really matter what route you go through, but you have to be willing to listen to yourself and do your own thing. Because if you're basing your life off the system, you're not going to go anywhere, because you're going to be trapped. You'll have a cap of how much money you can make and how much stuff you can do and how much freedom you have. So being smart isn't about being right. It's about being adaptive. So stop trying to impress people and, hey, I'm getting this degree in this school, because there's a lot of other people who are doing the exact same thing you're doing. So figure out what's going to separate you from the average person. So start being clear on your goals and your vision, write down stuff, and have a very good idea of what you want to become. Because look, there are tons of smart people that go to school. I'm in college. Like, it's not a bad route. I'm not trying to diss on it or anything, but the 1%, they don't use the knowledge they learn in college, because everyone goes to college. You have to separate yourself from those people. Once you're smart and intentional, you gain leverage. Smart people build systems, codes, brands, audiences, and they win without the extra effort, because the ideas they do eventually work for them. So at first, there's a ton of work that needs to be done, but after that, you have delegation, you have people doing stuff for you. So every smart person has that. The ones who aren't smart are the ones who think they can do everything themselves, and you can't. So again, I mentioned this a second ago, being smarter isn't just about thinking. It's about having people who work for you who are smarter than you are. Because if you have someone who's taking your job who's smarter than you are, that business is going to blow up. It's going to go great. But you have to find that person. So I think that's arguably the most difficult thing, is finding the right people, because that's honestly everything. So again, when you have systems and when you have stuff in place and you're around the right people and you think differently than the average person, those are really the key components of how to beat the 99% of people who aren't doing that. So I hope you guys did learn a lot from this video. I think a lot of the stuff I talked about is very useful, especially in today's society, because it's definitely different. I feel like it's almost frowned upon to go and do a unique thing that most people don't do. But again, you have to be willing to do that, because everyone's going through this one route. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. And you, that one person who's trying to be different than everyone, has to go do something else. Because if you want to separate yourself, you can't do the same thing that everyone's doing. And again, if you do, you're just going to become like everyone else, which means you'll be replaceable. So that's very important for you guys to understand. And again, I do hope you guys took value from this video. Please subscribe. And I have more content coming up soon that's going to talk about this and how to improve your lives on a day-to-day basis. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.